4 times people took revenge in court. The concept of revenge is as old as history. Almost since the dawn of recorded history, humans have had the desire to exact vengeance on others who have wronged us. In this video, we will explore 4 times people took revenge in court. Let's begin. Number 4. Deacon Brown. On the 23rd of June, 2022, Deacon Brown is standing in front of the judge, getting ready to be placed under sentence. Antonio Hughes, who was formerly in a relationship with Natasha and is now Milo's father, is there in the courtroom, and his feelings are running hot throughout the proceedings. Antonio's continued state of disbelief regarding the passing of his son is understandable, especially because the body of the boy was never found. According to his father, he has even considered the possibility of renting a boat or hiring experienced divers as a last-ditch effort to accomplish his goal. Even if his remains were to be buried in the river, it would never be possible to do so. Even though Antonio is eager for justice to be served, as you are about to see, he would much rather be intimately involved in the process. And that is exactly what he does, landing a couple of powerful knocks to Deshawn's head and neck before the bailiffs take him away from the scene. After a brief fight, they can shackle Antonio and allow him to stand up with their assistance. As he watches the bailiffs place Sean in handcuffs, you can feel the rage returning to his eyes, even though you can see the pain in his eyes. The fact that his hands are bound behind his back does not prevent him from attempting to deliver one final blow. 4 bailiffs must wrestle Antonio to the ground and hold him down while they do so. At some point, he was dismissed from the courtroom and charged with contempt of court. A bail of $1 million has been placed on Deshawn, who has been held in custody since the 17th of October, which is the day of his subsequent trial. According to the charges that have been made against him, he is being charged with 2 counts of murder, 1 count of felonious assault, 1 case of gross mistreatment of a corpse, and 1 act of tampering with evidence. The death penalty is one of the options available to him. Brown, you are deserving of death, but moreover, you are deserving of death for the things that you did to my daughter and my grandchild. Not even a sliver of humanity. Therefore, should Antonio have allowed justice to carry out its duties, or is it possible to hold him accountable for the attack he committed? To hell with him. This jerk deserves to burn. He is destined to endure infernal torment. Number 3. Eric McCullough. Be sure to pay close attention because it will only take a second. In a courthouse located in Hamilton County, there is an outbreak of violence. In a matter of seconds, the fighting broke out, and the court officers arrived just a few moments after that occurrence. The witness who was being held by the police assaulted the defendant, who was in front of Judge Eric McCullough. The witness was being held by the police. Both Antoine Lee and another individual, as well as his niece Tasha, are accused of being stabbed by him. A criminal homicide charge as well as an aggravated assault charge have been brought against him. At the beginning of this month, all of this took place. Antoine Lee, who is 25 years old and witnessed the murder, is shown here. I also want to bring up the fact that Tasha was head over heels in love with him. Even though Antoine is in court to testify against Eric, he also plans to wreak his revenge. Eric is the target of his swift attack, which consists of a strike to the back of the skull. Stay right here in this spot. Stay for a while. Even though his hands are restrained, he is still able to rack up a few hits. It was only a few steps away from all of this when the judge, who was taken aback by the altercation, realized what was going on. It is possible to observe another bailiff attempting to prevent a few additional guys from joining in on the fight, even though the brawl started quickly. Before Eric is led away by the bailiff, he gives off the impression of being rather unsettled, and we hear one of them murmuring, "I'll kill you." After that, they put Antoine in jail and allowed them some time to rest and collect their thoughts. In 2019, Antoine was sadly killed in a firefight that broke out in his neighborhood on Grove Street. As fate would have it, Antoine's death was a tragic loss. While Eric is currently serving a life sentence in prison, Antoine has finally reached the point where he has lost him. Number 2. Jamie Thomas Flowers. This is another warning that committing crimes will never benefit you in any way. According to the statement made by the police, Jamie Thomas Flowers, who was 50 years old, was murdered inside her home in Muskegon Heights after an argument with her husband regarding cigarettes. In addition to being upset, he asserted that he was an adult. Smokes would be purchased by him if that was what he desired. Several shots were fired at Jamie Thomas Flowers by her husband, Vashon Flowers, according to the allegations made by the prosecution. One of the shots was fired at close range. I've been told that you don't have to carry out this action. Please, Vashin, do not act in this manner. It is not required of you to carry out this action. I was startled when I heard gunfire. Vashin Flowers, a resident of Muskegon Heights, Michigan, is the defendant in this case. He is suspected of killing his wife, Jamie Thomas Flowers, who was 50 years old. Flowers is 46 years old. As a result of his 4 previous convictions, he has been brought before a court and jury on multiple occasions. This individual is the victim, London Thomas, who is Jamie's son. It is observed that he is leaning against the banister and looking at Vashin all while. When London's attorney approaches, he struts over the railing and charges at Vashin. Once his attorney arrives in London, it is only a foot away when he trips and falls, which allows the nearest bailiff time to catch up with him and drag him back. In addition, a few additional bailiffs join in on the effort to prevent him from leaving. London is making an effort to conceal himself from them, but this just serves to strengthen the bailiffs as they continue to drag him away until they can apprehend him. Vashin attempted to challenge the ruling, but finally he was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison, even though he was the one who came forward to turn himself in. However, he continued to insist that he was innocent. Even though London was unable to directly catch Vashin, we predict that there will be a large number of willing hands waiting for him in jail while he is serving his life sentence. Number 1. Christopher Elwell. It's only a minor variation. After receiving a sentence of 7.5 to 15 years in prison for the sexual assault of a small child, Christopher Elwell, a man from Dover, New Hampshire, is being transported to the back of the courtroom while being restrained in handcuffs. Josiah Davies is an additional prisoner who is now waiting for the beginning of this sentencing hearing. Christopher's face is filled with blatant disgust and loathing when he is escorted to sit on the same bench as Davies. This is readily apparent. Even though Josiah and Christopher are not acquainted with one another and Josiah is also shackled, Josiah utilizes his head as the sole weapon at his disposal to assault Christopher. The expression on Josiah's face shifts from one of rage to one of headbutting almost quickly after. The sheriff eventually tackles Christopher and pins him to the bench after he has delivered a few blows to Christopher. If you look closely, you can see that Christopher is virtually proud of himself, sporting an ugly smirk as a result of having irritated another prisoner. Christopher dismisses the attack, but if you look closer, you can see that he is proud of himself. When Josiah is being held, Christopher is walking outside of the courthouse. Josiah was charged with violence in addition to the forgery allegations that had been made against him in the past. Even though we do not endorse violence, we admire Josiah for exercising his discretion to bring about some form of justice in this situation. Did you like it? Tell us what you think of the video in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting videos.